Well, I'm just heading in for a recce. Got a lucky break, and this is one of the most remote areas of New Zealand, and I've actually fished in here once before, about 9 years ago, but this time I got a bit of a break. I got a ride in with a pest control group, and they're in here doing some work, and so I've been dropped off right down the bottom of the system, and I got all my gear here, pack everything, and working my way through for 3 days. It's just a bit of a recce because this particular region got absolutely smashed by Cyclone Gabrielle, and just kind of seeing if there's still life in here really. The river's been remodeled. I got glimpses of it on the way in, and it doesn't look like the same river that I fished before, so be an interesting day, and if anything comes out of it, it'll be great, and if not, I'll be fitter after the trip than I am today. So we'll get into it. Got to get right down this hill and down into the riverbed, and then we'll set on up and get into it. So 3 kilometers into the mission, got my first fish. It's a fucking good looking fish, so let's hope if I can perform. I brought my A game, but I'm a bit tired after fucking packing in so far. Just concentrating on looking for fish. We got one. Get into it. I've been fishing upstream. I got dropped off early this morning, and probably covered about 8 kilometers, and I'm not seeing a hell of a lot of fish. I got one skinny brown, but there's no holding water left. It's all been filled in, but every possible piece of holding water that looks quite likely, I've been blind fishing, and I've been picking up these little bows, so all is not lost. It is good to see these in the system. It's going to take a few years for them to bounce back, but epic to have them here. I've just got to find their mum and dads now, so we'll carry on up, see if they're in the headwaters. But got another 2 days working through the system, and then I'm going to get picked up at the top. And yeah, it's just a bit of a recce. No one's been in here since Gabrielle, and Cyclone Gabrielle, that is, has absolutely devastated this whole valley. The whole catchment looks like a nuclear bomb's gone off on it. It's been 3 years, and that's those little bows are obviously last year's recruitment. Those are 1-year-olds, so good to have them back, and hopefully they get to grow into bigger models in the future, but it's going to be a fair few years before this fishery returns to its former glory or form. So yeah, good to be here. It's just been a tough day. Yeah! Oh, 7 pound. What a fish! What a fish! Well, the saying goes, it only takes one fish, and this is that one. Ha ha! Stunning. I'd given up for the day, and I'd actually walked up the hill, and I was walking back up to where I'm going to camp up for the night, and I just saw this fish swinging down in the current. Wow. Epic battle, epic condition fish. Nothing all day, no holding water, and then this. So I'm just approaching the end of my third day. I've got a couple of hours left, and I'll spend those hours hiking out of here. I'll work my way right up into the headwaters, and I'm just going to share a few thoughts on what I feel is going on, and what, you know, how I feel the fishery is. Obviously it's decimated. Day one, the river was like torn apart. It looked like a nuclear bomb had gone off. The only holding water that I found was 4 or 5 spots. The only soft holding water that I found had one brown in it, and he was skinny, beaten up, and it was in the obvious spot that a brown would hold, so no surprises there. He found his piece of water. There were a few deeper, slower pools, and I ended up blind fishing those because I couldn't see any fish at all, but I ended up picking quite a few little silver 6 to 10 inch fish up, little bows, and that's good sign. There's been some recruitment, some spawning up here. They're slowly starting to hold through the system, but they're only managing to hold in the very limited holding water there is. So the first thing that we often hear after a huge flood is, we've got to stock it, we've got to stock it. Now, I do know that the Fish and Game policy is that they don't stock rivers in New Zealand anymore. I know they did a long time ago. Their thinking is if there's fish in the system, they'll find a way of flourishing and working throughout this fishery. Now on day one, I was over it. I was burnt out, and I climbed up a bit of a hill. There was a clearing above where I was going to set up camp, and I just took a look over the edge of the hill, and there was a beautiful brown swinging. That was the first and only pool that I would actually call classic true holding water. I got that brown, probably the most stunning brown I've ever caught in this region. 7 pound, just beautiful markings, pristine condition. So that goes against what I'm thinking here. The fishery's been decimated, the fish have struggled to survive, they've been working overtime. There's no bows left in here, only those little tiny ones. But that fish was just a spanner in the works, and I'm starting to think that fish was actually sent to me from the fish gods to reward me for my hard work. So camped the night there, started the next day, second day, huge gorge, swum a few spots, climbed over top of gorges, and the mountains here, as you can see, are pretty rugged. Zero fish, blind fished everything, zero fish. The water's crystal clear. I'm gonna see fish, but I'm not gonna see those tiny little silver bows. Now, I was hinging my bets on the headwaters being more stable. They are. It doesn't look like Gabrielle has really done a lot of damage in this headwater system. The pools are stable, the nymph life is good. Lower downstream there was zero nymph life. Tiny, as I mentioned, tiny little like 24, 26 mayfly. Up here we've got quite a lot of sort of 14 to 16s, a few stonefly, the odd caddis here and there. But there's enough nymph life in this river, invertebrate life, to sustain fish or fish life. They're just not here. So that's the other question we've got to ask. When people often say the rivers will return when they're ready, this river's ready and there's no fish here. It's going to be a lot of years until those fish lower down, and I'm talking 20, 30 kilometers downstream, make their way up through the system and find their holding water for life in these more stable pools behind me here. So do we give them a helping hand? That's the question. And I know there's a lot of controversy about stocking fish and trout, and we all hear it, the invasive species, and but there's a lot of invasive species around. Over that ridgeline over there is a pine forest. I'm sitting here, I'm an invasive species. The goats, the deer, the pigs, the possums, the list goes on. So yeah, I love my trout fishing, so obviously I'm going to be biased, and I want to see them in here. So what do? Do we just sit back and wait 4 or 5 years until they replenish, or we give them a helping hand? What do you reckon?